it's Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I'm here with another layout for 30 Days of Sketches by Christy's Beautiful Life, Series 10. This layout has been created by Lara Moss, and any details I have about her will be linked in the description box down below. I think her YouTube channel is Scrappy Kia. And so she'll be linked there, and I will also link to the 30 Days of Sketches Facebook group and also the playlist so you can see everybody playing along. I am using the Daydream Collection by Cocoa Vanilla Studio, and I initially thought this layout would go one way and then it went another. So I kind of do a little bit of pre-planning before I film. It just is what works for me currently with the kids. I can kind of mock up a layout, when I've got 5 or 10 minutes, I can sit down and have a bit more of a play. And so then when I get to the point of filming, it only takes me kind of 20 to 30 minutes to film a video because I've kind of done most of the planning in my head. This one went out the window. So I used this rainbow paper from Cocoa Vanilla Studio, and I had a couple of kind of sections of it left, and it's sort of the blue section and then the kind of pinky orange section. And so I decided to use those for the elements in Lara's sketch. It's because she's used a grid paper. I'm not sure if she meant for the strip at the top and the bottom to be pattern paper, but that's my interpretation. I decided to add some mixed media. Now, I only had 2 mists downstairs. I had the blush Heidi Swap Colour Shine and the navy Heidi Swap Colour Shine, so I just used both of those. They totally work with this collection. And that's kind of why they're downstairs, because to be honest, both of those colours work with 90% of the scrapbooking supplies that I have. So I am using those. Now, I did do a little too much navy, but that's okay. It sort of still works. I cover most of it up, to be honest, but the navy does sort of go a little bit everywhere. I needed a bigger piece of plastic to use my packaging technique, not gonna lie. This one's a little small. You see I get some harsh edges where the mist has gone kind of all the way to the edge of the plastic, so it's not ideal. So my tip for you, if you're doing the packaging technique, is to either use, if you're only using a small piece of plastic like I did, use less product, or if you're going to use that much product, use a larger piece of plastic. Now, it's at this point I decided that I wanted to cut all of these strips in the pattern paper so that you could see more of the mixed media sticking through. So you can see me here, I'm just going to fussy cut all of the strips so that you can then, as I said, see more of that mixed media. So I'm pretty sure I edited out me cutting out most of those strips. So you can see I've cut them and then I've laid them over the top of the corresponding mixed media. So I've still kept them with sort of the blue-green themes and then the kind of pinky, yellow, corally theme. And I've put them over the corresponding mist colour. And then I'm just figuring out where I might want to put my photos. Now, I've got more photos than Lara has in her sketch, and they're a lot bigger. So I've got this one photo of Addison, obviously the scan, that was a 32-week scan, and then I've got 3 photos here that were bump pics taken at various times throughout my pregnancy. I say at various times, but all in the latter part of my pregnancy. So bearing in mind she was born on the 31st of March, so the ultrasound was taken on the 15th of February, and then my first bump pic was taken on the 8th of Feb and then the 9th of Feb, so they're only a day apart. And then that last bump pic was taken on the 30th of March, so the day before she was born. My waters had already broken at that point. That was the last photo that I took, and I have scrapped that photo already, but this sort of layout is going in Addison's milestone album. So I kind of like to include a photo of me pregnant, or at least some scan photos. I included some scan photos in Lincoln's milestone album. I don't think I included any bump pictures in his album, but I didn't take that many with Lincoln, surprisingly enough. I know with your first you usually take a lot more, but I really didn't. So I made much more of an effort with this pregnancy to take more photos of the pregnancy bump, because it is nice to look back. And again, for those of you that have had babies, I am not the smallest person in the world, so my mum tum is very present. So it's kind of nice to look back and go, oh, look at that. I was very happy with how I looked while pregnant. So, it's kind of nice to look back and be like, oh, look at that. Oh, there's a baby in there. I'm never going to have another baby. So, it's nice. It's nice to have those memories. And I wanted them recorded. And I think Addison will like to look back on it when she's older. So I'm sticking down these strips just with wet glue. I was a bit rushed and I didn't dry any of this mixed media, so I'm sticking down the strips with wet glue to make sure they are nice and secure. I'm using some of the embellishments to strategically cover some of the mixed media, particularly the navy, that was a bit harsh with some of those lines, which was from the packaging I explained earlier. It created sort of some harsh lines on the page, so I definitely was using, see that Good Times ephemera piece there, that's to cover some mixed media, so I really don't want to move that, and I don't move it. I found embellishing this layout quite tricky. It was quite late in my kind of creating with the Daydream collection, so I've used a lot of the collection already, so I didn't have much left to work with. And then I've got these 3 photos which I'm placing on the right hand side. So again, sticking to Lara's sketch, I am putting my my photos sort of where she has indicated them in the sketch, as well as my title. I've just got more photos and they're larger than her sketch kind of had. So they definitely take up more real estate on the page, but that's okay. And then I'm just coming in and I'm creating 2 small one small embellishment cluster and 2 larger embellishment clusters. And I'm creating them where her sketch has them placed, because that worked for me, and my photo placement. I am trying to sort of nestle my bump photos fairly close together because I want to be able to fit that title in without it needing to be too squashed. And it works. I'm happy with it. I do cover most of the mixed media, let's be honest, and most of those strips of that sort of pinky paper. You can tell that the strips are there underneath the title, but even that covers a lot of the strips, but that's okay. So I'm just popping up that middle photo to stick it down. Not because necessarily that's my favourite photo, that's just the order they go in chronologically of when the photos were taken. And I just liked the look of having that sort of middle one popped up. I am going to pop up my title, The Dream Life. Again, I just used the die cut titles, I think that's what they're called, in this collection. So I kind of had to create a title that of the words I had left. So The Dream Life is, it's a bit corny, but that's okay. I think it works. So we're going with it. I'm popping up this Good Times little die cut piece, and I've also used a floral from the sticker sheet. And then I'm going to come in with a large, I do that last, I think. I was going to say a large rainbow piece as well. So I'm popping up the Dream Life. I had a little bit of trouble, as I said, with these clusters of ephemera. I'm kind of down to the bare bones of the Daydream collection. It is my mission to use it up. I'm actually doing this voiceover in August, and I haven't quite used it up yet, but I reckon I've only got 1, maybe 2 layouts left and it will be done, which I'm super excited by. I am hoping to finish it in September. I've said this before, but I'm scrapping in my kitchen downstairs, not in my scrap room at the moment. It just works well with Addison and naps and all of that kind of thing. I can be close, and anyway, it just works. And so what I'm doing is sort of bringing the kits I'm working on downstairs. I've got a little 3-tiered trolley just from Aldi, and that's currently sort of where I keep my scrapbooking supplies. So I bought down a whole heap of thickers and then basically just the couple of kits I sort of have going. And my aim is to not take anything back upstairs, so I want to use it all. So that's sort of where I'm going with that, if that makes sense. And it's working well. I'm using up a lot of stuff and I'm very pleased with my process. And to be honest, I could have totally moved back up into my scrap room by now, but it's working, so I'm not. Any excuse. So I'm just trying to play around with how I want these clusters to look. I like the idea of including a house because, we're creating a family. I just think the house sort of works, but I'm not loving that house beside the Good Times little die cut piece. And I've obviously already stuck that Good Times die cut piece down, so I can't move that. But I just felt the house, I don't know, it just wasn't working. But the house that I put in my title, or sort of where my title is there, The Dream Life, I think that works well. So that's definitely going to stay. This is one of the fussy cut rainbows, and I really wanted to get them on a page because I've got heaps of them. I'm trying to get them on every page, so I'm trying to see whether that would work. I didn't mind it there beside the word life, but I don't end up loving it, and it does move. I end up just keeping this little cluster in the left hand side here, very basic. I just had one floral piece, one little mini rainbow, and then I do come back and add a tiny word sticker, and that's it for that cluster, because, you know, I don't want to cover up too much of my bump. That's the point. You want to be able to see the baby. I didn't want to do too much down there. And then I'm going to come in and, what am I doing now? I think I'm fussy cutting. Yeah, I am. So I'm just cutting the middle of my rainbows out. Don't ask me why. In some of my layouts I have, in some I haven't. But I'm cutting the middle of the rainbow out. And then I'm just trying to work out how to add a rainbow into that top cluster. Initially I was going to add this mini one, but I actually don't. I come back and add a large one. Because I just couldn't get it to work. It just wasn't working. And so, yeah, it doesn't make it. It doesn't make it on the page, but the large one does. So I pull out the house and then I replace it with their rainbow, and I said, yeah, that's going to work for me. So let's stick that down. And then I will come in with some tiny word stickers, and I think I add the little beautiful you phrase from the sticker sheet into that cluster. Oh, once I've stuck down these bits. This one was tricky. This definitely took me the longest of all of my sketch layouts so far. So I don't know how many you will have seen so far, but at the time of recording this voiceover, I've made 6 with the Daydream collection, and this was definitely the longest. This one, I just couldn't get the clusters to really work. Again, it's hard when you get to the end of a collection when you've only got little bits to work with. And look, if I was upstairs and I obviously had my full stash to pull from, I probably would have tried to pull in some other things from other collections. But being downstairs, I am limited. Oh, you know, from my own laziness. I didn't want to walk upstairs. I was filming and I just wanted to roll with it. So I'm making it work with what I have. But I definitely probably could have found things a bit easier if I had have maybe pulled from another Cocoa Vanilla collection, because I find they all do go quite well together. And I definitely could have pulled from some other Cocoa Vanilla collections or other collections I have in my stash. So I'm going to add this banner, which just says beautiful you. I could have added it on top of one of my bump photos, and I was going to, but it just didn't fit as well. So I end up adding it here underneath the scan picture of Addie, but it could kind of work for any of the photos on the layout. And then I will come in with some tiny words stickers. So I add a couple around the title, and then I add one to the other clusters. So one to the bottom left cluster and one to the cluster at the top as well. And then I do add some splatters. I add the blush and the navy Heidi Swap Colour Shine, and I just add the splatters sort of over the top of where the mixed media is. I don't know that it adds a hell of a lot, I'll be honest, probably because there's a lot of mixed media in the background already, but I do. And so I'm just adding my tiny word sticker. It took me a while. I add 2 to that cluster, sorry. And it took me a while to think about where I wanted to add the second one, but I do add it underneath that beautiful you phrase there. And now I'm going to cover my photos. I don't really want the mist to go on top of any of the photos, so I do cover them. And then I do, as I said, you can see here, I'm adding the blush to the area that already has the blush mixed media in the background, and then I'll come and add the splatters of the navy at the top as well. Look, it does add a little bit of kind of contrast, sort of a different pattern to the mixed media. I don't think it was extremely necessary in this instance because there is quite a lot of mixed media already. But look, I'm not disappointed I did it. It was just an extra step. So I have finished. Now, everything to do with 30 Days of Sketches will be linked in the description box down below, and as well as everything I know about Lara and her beautiful sketch, and the playlist and the Facebook group and all of that jazz will be linked down below. And we'll see you in our next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.